So today we will be teaching you how to create wireframes in Figma for a app, and we will be using my app called Shut Up Timer Focus App as an example. This will be broken down into three parts. The first part will be introducing the user journey or the user process. The second part would be translating the user journey to the wireframe. And the third part would be teaching you how to use Figma. So this is the user journey for the Shut Up Timer Focus app. And just to give you some introduction about what the Shut Up Timer is, it's essentially a focus app that will roast the hell out of you until you start locking in.
This was me after my finals week.
Oh my gosh, what your final week? You really need to stop scrolling.
If your screen time looks like your tuition bill, maybe it's time to lock in.
Hey, what was that?
Introducing the Shut Up Timer, the only app where your Asian mom roasts you until you finally lock in and get to work.
Subscribe to get roasted.
Maybe if you...
Shut up.
So as you can see in this example, the first would be the loading page. The loading page will have the logo, the progress bar, and then maybe some random quote that I just did, for example. Then after the loading page, it would be the onboarding page. So for our app, for instance, we have two options. So we have the no registration, so you could use the app right away, or you could register. And of course, with registering, there will have its own perks, such as having new features or access to just more features. And the second part will be the roast level, because our app, it will roast the hell out of you. So you could determine the level of difficulty. So there's easy mode, medium mode, and Asian mode. After you finally finish the onboarding page, whether you registered or didn't register, you would go straight into the home page. So the home page would have the progress bar, the timer. It would also have a series of other buttons that would lead to other pages, such as the settings, the account, which is the menu bar, the to-do list, and also the play button. The play button essentially is the timer. So now we are just going to go through the menu bar step by step. So the first one would be the settings/account. This is the very basic, logistics, such as your name, your email, password, any, basic settings, Q&A, feedback, etc. Then we have our second feature. The second feature is friend invitation. We then have a wall of disappointment, which is another feature of ours. So essentially, wall of disappointment is every single time you pick up your phone and you are on our app, but you move on to a different app, for example, TikTok or Instagram, and you start scrolling. Then once you visit back to our original app, which is Shut Up Timer, it will take a picture of yourself. And essentially, it will be a accumulation of all the pictures that you have been distracted, and that will be posted on the wall of disappointment. If you use any focus apps, such as Flora or Study Bunny, you know that they use currency. So for us in this sense, it will be IQ points, because studying IQ, the longer you study, the more IQ you have. So that's how we do it. And there's different ways to gain currency and to lose IQ points. And yes, you could have negative IQ points. Then we have our leaderboard. This is essentially just seeing your friends. So I am already done creating the UI or the wireframe for this app. This is how it looks like, the overview. I know it looks very, very daunting, so we will break this down. So let's start off with the first page. The first page is the loading page. So as you can see, going back to my document, this was the first feature or landing page that I've listed. So here you go. So just giving you some, background information of what wireframe is, it is not the actual UI. So as you can see, this red box, it's a replacement of the actual logo. So I don't need to design a logo beforehand. I could just be like, oh, this box represents the logo. And this represents the progress bar. And then the text, I just type in the text. So everything for these wireframes, as you can see, it's just basically squares and circles, maybe one or two circles here and there. But mostly it's just squares, rectangles, and text. That's what wireframes are. So this loading page, then we have our survey. Survey, as you can see, we have some dialogues here. This is just some questions. As you can see, there's progress bar. Of course, the actual UI would not look like this. It's just putting down everything that I want, every single feature onto the page. and just to remind myself, or it's like a rough draft essentially for your actual real UI. So then your question might be, how did I envision all of this? Because I do understand that from text to image is quite hard. And this is what I usually do. So when it comes to the very basic features, like for example, the loading page or the survey or the onboarding page, I essentially just go to my competitors, whether it is, for example, Flora, Study Bunny, and I kind of just get inspiration from here. So this is my mood board, and I kind of get inspiration. As you can see, these are our competitors, Study Bunny, and I just basically get inspo from how they essentially designed their wireframe. Of course, we're not going to copy it, but there are a lot of similar features because we all are focus apps, right? However, when it comes to the more quote unquote creative aspect, I would say it's probably mostly the homepage. The homepage, I took a long time to design it myself. I used Procreate first to design everything, and then I went to Figma to actually put it into test and to see if it actually looks good or not. So as you can see from the mood board, I had a lot of inspo from different types of art I should do to design, and I ended up doing a quick mock-up like this, and I really liked it. I was like, hey, this looks pretty cute. Okay, let's put that into the wireframe. I guess very more basic structures, the similar features that you would have or share with your competitors. I literally just took screenshots. I downloaded the app, took screenshots, and then compared and contrast, and then just put a little twist of my own style into it. So I think the main key takeaway when it comes to designing from text all the way to Figma or creating your wirebox is don't create the wheel. Don't reinvent. Yeah. Don't invent the wheel. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's see how Figma actually works, because I know that the first time I used Figma, it was quite confusing. It was super hard for me. I did not know what the hell was going on. So let's see. For example, you want to create this thing, wall of disappointment. So what should you do? So imagine this blank. You see this thing? This is essentially your table, okay? You see this thing? This is a frame. What a frame is, imagine it as a piece of paper, okay? So you don't draw on your desk. This is your desk, okay? A frame is your piece of paper, and you're supposed to draw on the paper. Therefore, you do, create the paper. So frame, you could either start from here. This is F for frame. So I just press F, and then I could choose either a phone or tablet or whatever. So basically the size of the paper. Essentially for wireframes, all you need to know how to create rectangles and text boxes. That's basically it. So how do you create a text box? Text box, you press the letter T. And then you press, and then you write something. Okay, let's write month albums. Albums, I can't spell. Okay. Cool, so now you create a text box. However, this is way too small and you want to change the color, for example, or change the font. What do? You go down, scroll down to the right, this is the menu bar, and you see typography, right? So you could change it to whatever style you want. So this is my own Kaylee's handwriting. I created this font myself. You could change this to, let's say font 30. Okay, that's a bit too small. Let's do 50. Okay, 50. And let's make it bold. Actually, no, this looks fine. Okay. How do you create a shape or a rectangle, whatever it is? You just press R for rectangle, and then you could just slide it. Boom, easy. So now you could create this into whatever shape you want. So for me, I'm trying to create the top toolbar. So that's going to be looking like this. Okay, cool. So now I want to create this part, the logo and the IQ points. So what should I do? I should create another rectangle, however, different color. So I scroll down to the right menu bar and you see fill, right? Fill, okay, so we need to change it to a different color. Let's make it a bit darker. And let's make this a bit smaller. And let's put it here. And then press T for text box. And then I write logo. We do the same thing with IQ points. For me, I'm a bit lazy, so I just essentially I click on the text box, then I hold shift and I click on the rectangle too. So that means that I selected both of them. I control C, control V, and then I essentially press shift again, long hold shift, and then I drag it. See? I just duplicate it because I'm too lazy to recreate the rectangle, recreate the text again. Shift, as you can see when you're dragging it out, it will make sure that it becomes a square. And because we want a square, we will press shift. Okay. So when we are resizing, we also resize it by pressing shift. So long hold shift, okay? Shift will be your best friend. This looks not evenly distributed. So what do? As you can see, I want this text to align with the logo, or I want the logo to align with the text. So what I do is I click on the text box, or sorry, the rectangle. I long press shift and I hold the text, and then I do Alt A. See, it just shifts to the leftmost. So here, there are some shortcuts for Figma, and I'll just list it on the screen for your preferences. Theoretically speaking, creating wireframes are super, super fast because you're not actually creating the actual thing. You're just using rectangles and squares to represent the actual image. Boom, and you're done. See? Super, super duper fast. And I hope this was very insightful for you.